Just a quick simple video today, nothing too elaborate. I just wanted to show you something that I'd picked up from a Japanese auction site. This is Mr Dengon. Mr Dengon is a micro cassette tape recorder, even though he doesn't really look like one. Along the bottom of the packaging you can see it dates from around about 1985, and the things that intrigued me about it when I saw it on that auction site are to do with how it operates. It appears that recording and playback are initiated by putting one of these plastic cards inside the character's mouth, and there are a number of these inside the box. And the thing that interested me about this was, how did that work? Did different members of the family have a different card that meant it would play back a personalised message just for them? That was something I need to find out. And then the other thing is the types of tape cartridges it uses. This is a removable cartridge, but it's one that I've never seen before. It's an endless loop tape, and it looks like the Bandai Micro cartridge, which was the smallest endless loop tape cartridge, I'm saying cartridge a lot, that was made. This was used in two things as far as we know. There was a singing Elvis figurine, and then there was a mini Wurlitzer jukebox, but that's it. However, if Mr Dengon also uses that same Bandai cartridge, then that would make it 3 devices now. So let's find out. Now, as this is second-hand, there are a couple of things missing. The AA batteries, which is no big deal. At least the cartridge is there. One of these plastic cards that goes in the mouth is missing. There are 4 instead of 5, but hopefully that won't be an issue. So looking at the tape cartridge here, they've even gone to the trouble of putting it back in its original plastic bag. But we'll take it out of there and have a look at it. On here it just says Mr Dengon, made in Japan. There are no other marks on there. It works just the same as any other endless loop tape cartridge. The tape comes off the middle of the reel, goes across the front, and then back on the outside of the reel. When it goes across the front, it travels between the play and record head and that little pad on the left, and then goes across the pinch roller, which gets pushed up against the capstan. You can see a spring under there which holds it up against it. But yeah, so that looks like that Bandai cartridge. However, the Bandai cartridge in the picture here is the one on the left, the smaller of the two when compared against the Pocket Rockers cartridge that's on the right. Now, the cartridge that I've got in Mr Dengon, when put against a Pocket Rockers for size comparison, is larger. So, no, this isn't the Bandai cartridge. This is another type of endless loop tape cartridge. So it looks like Mr Dengon had his own cartridge system. Maybe they did use it in some other toys, I don't know. But at the moment, this is the first time I've seen it anywhere. So we've managed to find yet another endless loop tape cartridge from the past. Now let's move on, though, and have a look at that card system that I was interested in. How does that work? Well, it isn't as exciting as I first hoped. Unfortunately, all the cards are identical. I was thinking that perhaps they'd have identifying notches on the side, depending upon which person's card went in the machine. It would play back a personalised message for them. But no, you just write the name of the person on and they put the card in the machine and it will play back the same message for everyone. It records a 1-minute long message on that tape. So we'll just pop a card in here and have a look what happens. Well, the lights briefly came on. I don't know if you saw that there. There we go. So it looks like someone's left some batteries in here. Now, I was really hoping they haven't leaked all over the compartment. Unfortunately, they haven't, although they have been in there quite some time. You can see these date back to March 2009. So we were lucky there that they didn't leak, but I'll put some new batteries in here, ones that will no doubt leak if I leave them in here too long, but I'll take them out straight after I finish making the video. Let's put the tape cartridge in, have a look at it, and see if we can get this thing working now. So we'll put one of those cards in the front, and now the lights aren't coming on at all. Oh, it's one of those days, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Try it the other way around. Of course, one end of this card is play and the other end is record, but neither end is doing anything at all at the moment. There's no noise coming from it whatsoever. So let's see what's going on. There's perhaps something wrong with the switch that's under here that those cards push down on. It seemed a little bit intermittent when I first put them in there. So we'll take the cover off that first of all. Now you can see once we get this removed how the cards work. There's a cutout on one side so that if you put it in one way, it will press both these buttons this way round. You see the silver button on the right and the white one. It'll push that one down and that one forwards. That's basically play and record on a normal tape recorder. However, turn it around the other way, it misses out the one in the middle and just presses the right hand one, which is the play button. Now, the lights happened to just come on while I was messing around with it then. So there is a bit of a faulty connection, I think, under that play button on the right hand side. So we'll need to open it up. I'll need to clean the contacts. There'll be oxidization, no doubt, on that switch. And we'll get in there and see what the belts are like and things as well. There are a heck of a lot of screws in this. They've really gone to town screwing it together. Nowadays, these things would all be glued, of course. And there's even more screws to get through before I can even get to the mechanism behind this cover here. So we'll get all of those out now, and hopefully we'll be able to see what's going on inside here. I'm sure it's quite a simple device once we get into it. There we go, we're in. So we need to remove some more from there. Luckily all the screws are pretty much the same size, apart from a couple which are obviously bigger, so it's not something that you can worry about mixing them all up. But yeah, remove the circuit board here. Now the belt, you can see at the bottom there, it's got a bit of a kink in it, and it's I think it's loose, but it is still there for the moment. I'm just going to leave it there while I'm messing around with it, because it will drive the thing. It's not ideal. The motor, I've put some power through to these leads here, and yes, the motor will whir. So maybe I need to just clean some contacts in here. So I'll just spray this all over the place. Why not? Why not just bathe everything in it and mess around with those switches? But no, still no action whatsoever coming out of it. So I started looking a little bit more at this circuit board. Now I could see there were some sort of dry joint type things, but that one doesn't matter there because that's just one holding a switch. Now there are a couple of others up here which don't look like they did a brilliant soldering job on them, but they do seem to be attached up. But hey, without any other things to go on, I just thought I'll go along, I'll solder everything that looks a little bit odd. So as will come as a surprise to absolutely no one, that didn't do anything. Now I've cleaned the switches, I've made sure everything's soldered on, all the wires are fine, all these capacitors and things will be beyond their sensible life, but they should still be working. So I didn't know what was going on at this point. I was about to give up on this whole video project, and then I noticed what the problem was. It's this wire here on the battery compartment. Because those lights were lighting up in the eyes earlier on, I assumed the batteries were connected. Well, they were, but just to one out of two wires. The other one had come away, so it's just a matter of soldering that back onto that contact again, and then everything started to function as it should have done from the beginning. So, matter of putting it all back together again now. Now I'll just speed through this because we've seen it all in the other direction, so there's no point showing it all again. Just one thing I want to show you though, when we've got it up to a certain stage, is the head on this device. We mentioned it uses standard cassette tape. Well, it just uses half of that as well, just so they can use a standard head on here, which is a record and a play head all in one. There's no separate erase head on here, of course, but yeah, very simple mechanism. The machine struggles a bit to turn the tape if you push it against the capstan too hard, and that will be because of the worn belt in there. It's no doubt slipping, but I didn't have a suitable replacement to hand. But if I hold it in just the right position, I'm able to make a test recording. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Now it's a 60-second tape loop, and of course that wasn't a 60-second message, so I noticed when I started to play it back there were a couple of old recordings from the previous owner still on the tape. Which was a good reminder that I'm perhaps a little bit old to be messing around with this. But anyway, after it had played enough tape, my message came back round again. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Yeah, so not the best recording. I'm sure all those capacitors need replacing, but it is just about working. So now I've got the tape in the right position. Let me try and leave a message on here, as you would have done back in the day. So the idea is you record by talking into the top of the hat. I'm doing it as loudly as possible. So then when somebody comes home, at the end of the day, they'll see that Mr Dengon is holding a card in his hand perhaps, and they'll go, oh, there must be a message for me on Mr Dengon. I'll just put my card in and have a quick listen.
Hello, I'm Mr Dengon. How are you today? Anyway, here's a message for you. Your tea is in the dog, and I've left you and the family. Just left you with this plastic toy. Hope that's okay. Anyway, see you later. Well, actually I won't. Bye!
So there you go, that was Mr Dengon. As I said at the beginning, nothing too elaborate, just a little bit of fun, and during the process of looking at that we managed to find another undocumented endless loop tape cartridge from the mid-1980s. But that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.